They exist in plain sight, yet strangely invisible. You know them, you work with them, you sit next to them on long rides and short meetings, and yet, if you searched for them online, you'd find almost nothing. No daily updates, no curated moments, no carefully chosen version of their life framed for approval. Just silence. And in a world that documents everything, silence stands out. At first, people assume something must be wrong. Maybe they're hiding. Maybe they're unhappy. Maybe they don't have anything worth sharing. But those assumptions say more about the observer than the observed. Because the psychology of people who don't post on social media isn't about absence, it's about orientation. Social media didn't just change communication, it changed where identity lives. For many, identity migrated outward into captions, images, reactions, metrics. But some people never made that move. They stayed inside. They scroll sometimes, they observe. They understand the language of likes and trends. They just don't feel the urge to participate. Not because they can't, but because something in them resists turning life into display. To understand them, you have to understand attention. Attention is currency now. Every post is a bid. Every story is a request. Every update says, look, this moment matters. People who don't post often treat attention differently. They don't trade it, they spend it carefully. There's a quiet clarity here. They don't need an audience to feel real. Their experiences don't require witnesses to be valid. A sunset still feels like a sunset, even if no one sees the photo. Psychologically, many of them have internal validation systems. Their sense of worth doesn't rise and fall with response. They feel joy without documenting it. They process pain without broadcasting it. Emotion for them is something to be lived, not proven. Some learned this early. They noticed how quickly moments became content, how joy turned into performance, how sadness became a caption, how silence became suspicious. And they stepped back, not loudly, just quietly. There's also a deep respect for privacy here. Not secrecy, privacy. They understand that not everything improves when shared. Some things grow better in the dark. They don't confuse being seen with being known. They know the difference. One is loud, the other is rare. Interestingly, many of them are very present in real life. They listen closely, they remember details, they show up without announcing it. They don't need proof of connection, they are the connection. To some people, that feels unsettling, because social media has trained us to equate presence with posting. If there's no update, did it really happen? If no one reacted, did it really matter? For people who don't post, the answer is simple. Yes. They often see social media for what it is, a highlight reel, a distortion field, a place where comparison quietly thrives. They don't judge it, they just don't want to live inside it. This doesn't mean they think they're better, it means they're aware of their limits. They know how easily their mood can be shaped by numbers. They know how comparison works on the nervous system, and they choose distance. There's a kind of time richness in their lives. Moments aren't interrupted by framing or editing. They experience first, reflect later, sometimes much later. When something meaningful happens, their instinct isn't to post, it's to sit with it, to understand it, to let it change them privately. They don't announce milestones, not because they aren't proud, but because pride doesn't need witnesses. Socially, they're often misread, quiet, mysterious, detached. But watch closely. They're not disengaged, they're anchored. They're less reactive to trends, less pulled by outrage cycles, less emotionally drained by constant comparison. Their emotional world is steadier, not louder. They don't confuse visibility with value. They know the internet rewards frequency, not depth, and depth is what they care about. As time passes, something interesting happens. Their relationships tend to be fewer but stronger, because connection wasn't built through updates, it was built through presence. They don't curate a persona, they allow themselves to evolve without explanation. No rebrand required. In a culture that treats posting as existence, their choice feels almost radical, to live fully and quietly. So when you meet someone who doesn't post on social media, don't assume absence, assume intention, assume boundaries, assume a person who decided that their life doesn't need an audience to be meaningful. Because some people don't live to be seen, they live to be.